Welcome back to the Business Book Club.
Great to be back.
Today, we're diving deep into Becoming Steve Jobs by Brent Schlender.
Right, and Schlender, he's a veteran journalist, knew Jobs for decades.
Yeah, which gives him this really unique perspective. It goes beyond, the usual myths.
Exactly. He had this incredible access. So our mission here really is to pull out the key insights about Jobs' evolution.
Especially insights relevant for entrepreneurs today, right? Navigating that whole building and leading thing.
Precisely. It's about the becoming part of the title.
Okay, so let's jump right in. A core idea is that Jobs wasn't static. He changed a lot.
Absolutely. Even early on, you see these contradictions, like his super high standard for quality.
Believing he could do things better himself.
Yeah, that exact trait, which, well, obviously caused some friction along the way.
There's that famous Next T logo story with Paul Rand.
Oh, yeah. Spending $100,000 on a logo for a company just starting out.
It says a lot about that pursuit of perfection. Maybe practicality wasn't the first thought?
Right. And Schlender points out, while that quality focus was great for Apple later at Next T, maybe not always the best use of cash. It shows that tension.
That tension between the vision and, well, the bank balance.
Exactly. And interestingly, Schlender's relationship with Jobs started almost by accident.
He wasn't even interested in the logo story at first, was he?
Not really, but it kicked off this long dynamic. Schlender needed stories, Jobs needed press.
A constant negotiation, you could say.
Totally. And those calls Jobs would make about Apple gossip or whatever.
Never just random calls, were they?
Nope. Usually gathering intel, maybe pushing a product angle or complaining about an article. Always a motive.
Calculated, even in those interactions.
Yeah. And the book uses that Garden of Allah anecdote from '79 really well.
Right, to show the early contradictions. He's this successful startup guy.
But doesn't want to be seen as just a businessman. Wants mentorship.
But hates authority.
Yeah.
Counterculture vibe, but loves fancy cars.
Wants to do good, but can't stand inefficiency. Impatient, yet tackles huge long-term stuff.
Buddhist and capitalist. It's quite the mix.
And in '79, he's only 24. The face of personal computing, but still learning the ropes of business.
And those weaknesses, the management style, the authority issues, they were tied up with his strengths.
Definitely. Schlender argues those very weaknesses led to him getting pushed out of Apple later and the struggles at Next T.
So the big takeaway isn't about some perfect genius from day one.
Not at all. It's about significant growth. Learning to manage the flaws, not erase them.
Channeling the talents better.
Right. His return in '97, the huge success after that. Schlender frames it as a result of that evolution, becoming Steve Jobs.
Okay, let's talk formative influences. His adoptive parents, Paul and Clara.
Incredibly supportive. Moving house just to get him into better schools.
And Paul Jobs instilling that sense of craftsmanship.
Yeah, caring about the parts you don't see, that became core to Steve's product philosophy, didn't it?
You can really trace that line. And the Buddhist idea of becoming. Continuous improvement.
Schlender connects that to his exacting nature. Never quite satisfied, always pushing.
It fits that drive for constant refinement.
It's interesting how that practical Midwestern craftsmanship blended with these sort of Eastern philosophical ideas.
Okay, what about the early ventures? The Apple with Wozniak.
Classic startup story. Selling the VW bus, Woz's calculator for funding. Shows that resourcefulness.
And naming it Apple. Inspired by Sony, wanting something approachable.
Yeah, pretty smart branding right from the beginning.
And getting that first big order bite shop, right? Paul Terrell.
$25,000. That was huge. Apparently way more than Wozniak expected.
And Jobs himself, hands-on, building them in the garage.
Total get-it-done mode that defined those early days.
As Apple grew, connections became key. Regis McKenna.
The marketing guru who'd worked with Intel, he saw past Jobs' let's say, unconventional appearance.
Saw the intelligence underneath.
Oh.
And helped build that early Apple image.
Crucial. And getting venture capital, Don Valentine from Sequoia, that early funding was essential.
Then the Apple II. That was the big leap, wasn't it?
Yeah, huge leap. Was engineering genius. But Jobs pushing for user-friendliness, for homes, schools, not just hobbyists.
And bringing in Mike Scotty for management.
Yeah, the company was getting complex. Needed systems, structure. Jobs apparently learned a lot just watching Scotty operate.
Even looking at examples like Andy Grove at Intel, setting that high bar in Silicon Valley.
Right. Context matters. Jobs was absorbing all of this.
Mentorship seems like a recurring theme. Seeking advice, like from McKenna.
He needed that sometimes, a sense of stability, perhaps. But ultimately, his vision was his own.
Seeing possibilities, combining ideas in new ways, the challenge was making that vision effective.
Exactly. Going from just having the vision to actually leading a team to build it. That's a big part of the becoming journey.
Which brings us to the Macintosh era. Highs and lows there.
Definitely. The visit to Xerox PRC was, well, pivotal. Seeing the graphical user interface.
Mouse, icons, windows. Mind-blowing stuff back then.
And Xerox just didn't quite get what they had, did they? Focused on copiers.
A classic innovator's dilemma story. But Jobs saw it.
He did. But the Lisa project, which tried to implement some of that, it struggled.
His management style again.
Yeah.
And not focusing on the business market enough.
That seems to be the story. He eventually got removed from the Lisa team.
Ouch! And the Apple III disaster before that. More issues with managing big projects.
Yeah, problems with authority, over-engineering, delays. It all came together badly there.
Then hiring John Scully from Pepsi. The adult supervision idea.
Supposedly complementary skills. But we know how that ended. Clashing visions.
And Scully eventually firing Jobs from the company he co-founded.
Incredible turn of events. But despite all that turmoil, the Macintosh team itself.
Under Jobs, they created something amazing.
Oh, right.
Like demanding, but inspirational.
Yeah, that real artistship mantra. He created this intense protective bubble around them, forged a real identity.
It shows that complexity again. Difficult leader, but could inspire incredible work.
That's the paradox, isn't it?
So exile, he starts NXT, still thinking he's going to change the world.
Absolutely. Convinced NXT was the next big thing. But some old habits continued.
Like the spending. The fancy factory, that Paul Rand logo again.
Yeah, often without maybe enough thought about the trade-offs. Focusing on dazzling tech
Like the optical disk drive, the magnesium cable.
over maybe what users actually needed or could afford led to slow sales.
Schlender says he struggled to distinguish critical details from the nice-to-haves. A key CEO job.
Right. And maybe believing his own press a bit too much made it hard to take advice sometimes.
But not all bad at NXT, right? Some marketing, like picking a fight, was clever.
Oh yeah, some brilliant moments. And eventually, they pivoted.
Toward software. Next T-step, the operating system.
Which was actually really good tech. IBM licensed it, which was a big deal.
Though it didn't save the hardware side. And Ross Perot, an early investor.
He later regretted it. Realized Jobs maybe didn't have the business chops Perot initially thought he did.
Interesting. But that NXT software would become important later.
Hugely important. And then there's Pixar.
Right, he invested in Pixar. Initially for the tech.
Yeah, the high-end graphics hardware. But it turned into something else entirely.
A massive success. And working with Ed Catmull there.
That seems like a really crucial learning experience for Jobs. Catmull became a real mentor figure.
Learning how to manage creative chaos, the iterative process.
Exactly. Different from NXT and Toy Story pushing through failures but being encouraging.
A different leadership style emerging.
Perhaps. More nuanced, maybe. And meeting Laureen Powell around this time.
Brought stability to his personal life. A big turning point.
Seems like it. Things started aligning differently for him.
Meanwhile, back at Apple,
Well,
things weren't going so well in the mid-90s.
no, Apple was declining. Lack of innovation, management struggles, created an opening.
And then Apple buys NXT.
Bringing Jobs back into the fold, along with that key NXT step software and talent.
His first interactions with the CEO then, Gil Amelio, reportedly quite critical.
Impatient, yeah. Typical Jobs, assessing the situation bluntly.
But Laureen encouraged him to consider returning.
She saw he was maybe the only one who could save it. Even Andy Grove pushed him to decide about the CEO role.
Now, Fred Anderson, the acting CEO, recognized Jobs understood Apple's soul.
Yet it needed that spiritual leader, as Anderson put it, someone to reignite the passion.
And his negotiation with Bill Gates on his return. Super quick and decisive.
Very different from Emilio's approach. Showed that focus had returned, perhaps sharpened.
Okay, so he's back. Interim CEO, then officially. Rebuilding Apple.
First big thing, the Think Different campaign.
Iconic. Though he hesitated initially about focusing on individual genius.
A little, yeah. But once he bought in, he pushed it through decisively. Huge impact.
And he started reshaping the culture. High standards, direct feedback.
Famously got rid of formal reviews, controlled the brand message tightly.
Focused media appearances. Really curated that image.
Yeah.
Driven by this deep care for the company, even if the methods were tough.
Absolutely. And the collaboration with Joni Ive that became central.
Deep trust there, shared design sensibilities.
Led to things like the iMac. Bold move. And then the iPod.
The iPod was massive.
Yeah.
A whole widget challenge, Schlender calls it.
Hardware, software, service, all integrated seamlessly. That became the new Apple playbook.
And the Apple retail stores, another key piece.
Critical. Not just selling boxes, but educating, showing the experience. Ron Johnson was key there.
Then iTunes Music Store, taking on the music industry.
Revolutionized it. Again, focused on user experience first.
Yeah.
Built that direct customer relationship.
Setting new standards for quality for the whole experience.
Totally. Even releasing iTunes for Windows was a tough call internally, apparently.
But it massively broadened the reach, right? Paved the way for the iPhone.
Exactly. Which brings us to the iPhone era. Intense internal work to create that.
The partnership with AT&T was pretty groundbreaking, too. That level of control, the revenue sharing.
Unprecedented at the time, showed Apple's leverage by then.
And his cancer diagnosis in 2003, Schlender suggests it intensified his focus.
Yeah, a sense of urgency, faster pace. You see that reflected in the products.
His 2005 Stanford speech really captures some of that evolved perspective, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. Connecting the dots. Love and loss. Death. Hard-earned wisdom coming through.
Very powerful. And later, the Pixar acquisition by Disney, another evolution.
Willingness to collaborate differently on a huge scale. And the iPad, leveraging everything learned from iPod and iPhone, his final years still pushing, even through illness, still focused on insanely great products.
It's quite a journey when you lay it all out like that, from that demanding young founder.
To a much more seasoned, arguably wiser leader who transformed multiple industries.
So wrapping this up, what are the big actionable lessons for entrepreneurs listening?
Well, first, that vision thing is crucial, right? But it's not enough on its own.
You need to be willing to learn, adapt, evolve, like Jobs did. He wasn't afraid to change course eventually.
And that commitment to quality, obsessive maybe, but it built the brand. It differentiated Apple.
Sometimes that means investing where others wouldn't, focusing on the user experience above all.
Then there's personal growth. Leadership isn't static. His early flaws almost sank him.
Learning to manage those, becoming more self-aware, that was key to his return and later success.
Absolutely. And mentorship and collaboration. Even for someone like Jobs, relationships like the one with Catmull at Pixar were vital.
You can't do it all alone, even if you think you can.
Right. It's about building teams, learning from others, even when you have a strong vision.
And ultimately, that relentless pursuit of great work, not just good enough, but truly great.
That passion seems to underpin everything.
So for listeners, maybe think about your own journey. How are you evolving as a leader?
Where can you double down on quality? Are you building the right team, seeking the right advice?
How are the dots of your experience connecting? Can they lead somewhere unexpected, like Jobs' journey often did?
Good questions to reflect on. Definitely inspired by this book.
Some really valuable stuff there. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into becoming Steve Jobs.
It's a fascinating read. Highly recommend digging into it further.
Absolutely. For a richer picture of the man and his evolution. And please, do subscribe to the Business Book Club for more explorations like this one. Now, that's a wrap for this episode of the Business Book Club. If you enjoyed the ride, make sure to subscribe so you'll never miss our next deep dive. Got a favorite business book you'd love us to explore? Let us know. We're always up for a good read. And hey, don't keep all these insights to yourself. Share this episode with a fellow book lover or your work buddy who's always looking to level up. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and we'll see you in the next episode.